how do I make that business more streamlined and more knowing KPIs and all of that. There's a difference in some businesses, but in most businesses, they can be way more dialed in with KPIs and everything for every business. I'm a real estate investor. I'm sharing everything I know about Subject to in a way that complete beginners understand. This guy is John Pratt, our fearless novice, diving headfirst into the world of Subject to real estate deals. Watch as I start him on the path. I'm your guide, Kyle Kargas, and this is Subject to Real Estate Secrets, the path from moron to millionaire. Welcome to Subject to Real Estate Secrets, the path from moron to millionaire. Subject to Real Estate is coming in, buying a house, taking over a seller's existing mortgage. You become the owner. They get to leave, they get to move on, etc. It's an amazing strategy. Welcome back, John. This Moron to Millionaire series has not been able to happen without you. Thank you for being here.
Love it. Thank you.
Today,
Yes.
we're going to go over your homework. Everyone wants to know how your statistics are going. But today's going to be an episode unlike any others. Today, we're going to do some self-reflection.
Yeah.
Okay? Initially, you need to come up with your plan, strategize, lay it out, and then you need to put your head down and work your tail off, right? Not letting yourself get distracted by other things, right? And along the way, we've made little tweaks. Just recently, we've talked about how, hey, you weren't making calls for like a full hour, right? Mm-hmm. Little tweak, right? So you've made a lot of progress. It's been great. But it's been long enough now. It's time to stick your head up, reevaluate where we're at. So part of this episode, everyone, is going to be, right? I want you to be, everyone knows this as being extremely authentic, transparent, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you some questions that might be a little personal.
Yeah,
okay?
sure, yeah.
But I want you to share the best that you can, so that way everyone can feel it, because I want everyone else to know that this is real, and I want them to do the same thing. And then, so basically, you've had a plan all the way up till now. It is now time to have plan 2.0.
Yes.
Okay? We might make big changes. Okay? We want to make sure that it's still on the right path. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay? So let's start off first with report back to me. Let us all know, how did this week go? What do these numbers look like?
All right. LOIs sent.
Okay.
76.
Okay.
LOIs sent. Responses 7. I barely get excited about the responses anymore. I just get more.
You're going to call them no matter what.
Right. They're
But
good.
that's still a 10% or so.
Yeah.
Almost 10% response rate.
So the email deliverability is dialed in. Dials. I'm not counting follow-up dials.
Yes. How many dials on those?
45 or something.
Okay, so of the 77, you were able to call 45.
Yeah. Conversations from those responses, none. I just call them. They don't call me. I always call them.
So none of them called you?
No. Yeah,
in
correct.
other words.
Conversations from those initial dials, 13
Ooh,
conversations.
Okay, 13 out of 45.
Yeah.
That's almost 30%.
Yeah. And the week before that, it was a little higher.
Yeah?
So yeah, conversations.
But still, the fact that you can call someone and 30% of the time they're going to answer the phone and have a conversation with you?
They're definitely willing to talk.
Okay, cool.
And you guys can go tell us. Look at the older episodes. Like, what were my stats like before in terms of dials to conversations ratio? Appointments 3. I almost lost one because someone was trying to bail or something, or someone had a conflict, but then I rebooked them. So I'm 3.
Yeah, you booked an appointment and then all on the calendar they had declined.
Yeah, they had declined because they had some other thing pop
But do you
up.
see, and so you texted me, or no, I messaged you because I saw the decline.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, John, and I know it's tricky, right? So this is a sidebar, right? Interesting, right? And it's like, what did you ask me?
When you told me she declined,
Yeah.
I said, did it decline right away or did it decline later? And you said she declined it later.
Yeah, so
which means something happened.
She had just declined before I messaged you, right?
Yeah.
And then you asked me a question after that.
I said,
you're like, what should I do?
Yeah, what's the best way to?
Right, it's like, should we just leave it there and you just try to call anyways, or you try to call?
Or should I give her the out? Like, hey, but then she.
But what were you worried
actually
about?
texted me.
You had said something you were worried about.
Like if I contact her and say like, hey, you declined, like that it gives her a chance to like back out. But then you're like, look, I mean, if she's not interested, she needs to like back out. Not that I would pitch her on backing out.
Right. This is a gold nugget for anybody watching.
Okay.
Don't be fearful. If
Right.
fear is running, because does you feeling fear change reality?
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't
No.
change reality. But only if I act on that, and then
If you act on it in an inappropriate way.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
if you can leverage fear and make yourself work harder, fear could be a leverage. But most of the time, fear like this is, oh my gosh, if I call, I might lose the appointment altogether.
Right,
'Cause
and then in my mind, it's
is
like,
it really lost?
Yeah.
Right? In my head, the moment she declined, it was lost.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
So
In your head, you're
okay.
like, and this is very normal for new people.
Okay, yeah.
You're so hopeful.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you're like, wait, they declined it, but she didn't call me and tell me she didn't want the appointment anymore, etc. So maybe she still wants it and it might work its way out.
So there's zero downside. Just
There's zero downside
Yeah.
because whatever she is feeling and thinking, she's already feeling and thinking
Got
that
it,
in
yeah.
that moment. And most likely, if she just declined that appointment, she's most likely not going to show up. So you probably have a high 90-95% chance that if I would have called it, it would have been a dud. And it would have been, today or whenever that appointment was going to be.
Yeah.
So versus that's a moment where you can take advantage of it to build a relationship. Because I said, how many touches does it take to get a deal? Normally 13. It actually is a blessing in disguise where you're like, oh my gosh, I get an extra phone call
Yeah.
to make to this lady and be like, hey, so what's going on? Catch me up to speed. Did something come up in your calendar? How can we reschedule? And she rescheduled. If she really wanted out, she could have just told you no.
Right.
Right?
If she had just a regular
Yeah.
conflict, whatever.
Yeah, and that's fine. And so it wasn't a big deal. Now, sometimes they might just cancel, but the reality is it at least gives you a chance to overcome that obstacle
Yeah.
in that moment versus it was already gone if they just don't show up.
Because she told me like there was something around that time, and I'm like, did she? That's why I asked. Did she cancel right away, or did it just come through? And you're like, it just came through.
Got it. So there's the gold nugget.
Yeah.
Always reach out, right?
Yeah.
We want to schedule appointments and we want them to be as good in quality appointments as possible, and we need people to show up.
Yeah.
Right? If they don't show up, it's like you did work and you just let it go.
What's show rate?
And you
normal?
wasted. I would say there's lots of times where sometimes it's like 50%.
Wow.
But there's other times where you can get 75%. So, and there's some days we have where it's like 100%,
Okay,
right?
Yeah. How are mine typically? I know that
Yours
off the
have
top of
been
your
pretty
head.
good. Okay, I will say for your appointments, your show rate's actually been pretty darn good.
Okay, good.
Okay, at least one of them did not show this week.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would say of yours, like let's say this third one is the third appointment you're talking about, the one that you have you just rescheduled, right? I haven't had it yet, so I can't say the show rate on that one.
Right.
Hopefully it works out. She just
Right.
rescheduled. Let's say she shows up, that'd probably be that's a 33% no show, right? So that's 66% show rate for you for the week. Okay, but all those things matter. So very cool. I think on average though, your show rates have been higher than some other ones from other people. So good job. Thank you for showing all that data. So the good part is, so you had 45 calls,
Dials. Yeah.
right? 45 dials. You've had like 13 or 15, right? Conversations, which is pretty good. And then out of those, you booked 3 appointments. Right? Which is actually pretty good.
Out of, I guess that 13,
And
3 out of 13. Yeah.
Yeah, in all honesty, that's not too bad, right? That's doing like a what, 20% book rate out of your 13 or 15 people? Not too bad. So percentage-wise, congratulations. You're not doing too bad. The fact that you dialed 45 and there was 70 something, the cool part is that means there is room. You do not need to ever add more leads for potential LOIs. You don't need to expand your search in the future because the bottleneck is you don't have enough time right now. You can't call all 75 people in your hour per day.
Right.
You don't have enough time.
Unless they don't answer, and then I'm just ripping through that lead sheet.
Right.
Yeah.
But on average, right, you're not able to call them all. So what that tells me is, cool, you have that LOI, you have your list pull, all that's dialed in. And now you're just calling as many people as you can.
Which, by the way, for people watching, if you rip through a lead sheet on a Friday, you're going to rip through it pretty fast, at least with the markets I've been marketing in, because no one's answering.
Okay, so you're
They
finding
just
less answers
care
on Friday.
Less on Friday.
Interesting.
That's fair. Listing agents, they're busy, whatever.
Yeah.
But,
Sometimes Mondays can be that way too if they're trying to get back and they're extra busy. But so I would say, if you know that you only have 3 days that you can make calls, and you're just randomly
do it on those
instead
days.
of randomly picking, just choose the other days.
Yeah.
Right. Now that does not mean I wouldn't call Fridays. Or I
Right.
wouldn't call Mondays.
It's just maybe allocate more time to the earlier in the week.
Yeah.
At least in my experience. Whatever you guys are seeing.
Yeah. No, thank you for
Tell
sharing
us in the
that.
comment.
Thank you for that feedback. Okay, and I'll reference that a little bit later as well.
Yeah.
Now let's get into. I want you to dig deep in this episode. You're sticking your head up. You're taking a breath. You've now ran for all these episodes that we've shot now. Give me a quick and overall. How are you feeling overall? How are you feeling about all the stuff that you've learned so far? Give me a quick summary of that.
And I told you that right before we started, I'm like, I want a deal.
Yes.
We talked about this. I was thinking like, what are my goals like personally? And then you were talking a little bit before we started taping about like, how do we reverse engineer that? But what do you want to start with first? Like, because there's a lot to unpack. I could start with just those goals.
Let's go ahead and go into the goals first.
Sure.
Because when you take this breath, I want us to do two things. I want us to reflect on how it's been. So both, hey, what have you learned, whatever. Do you feel like you've mastered some things, etc.? And then where do I want to be going forward? So back and forward. And then we make adjustments.
Yeah.
Right? Is what we're doing right now going to get us to where you want to go?
Right.
Now, you've quickly mentioned, I want a deal. Can you imagine how many people watching right now are like, oh my gosh, give me a deal? You're just like them. You want that deal. You've gotten very, very close.
Yeah.
On multiple occasions, right? And so you're going to get a deal, and you want a deal. We want to really push that and get you that. Let's share with everyone, what are your goals right now? What does that next level look like to you?
So I'll take it outside of business, just personal, like above that, right? So I'm not gonna like hold these goals like I'll change them later as I grow.
Okay,
You know.
got it.
So in terms of revenue, I want like 200K take home per year. I've been around enough people in my life as a small agency owner and in my beginnings here in real estate where I see it's possible to do that kind of money. Like I'm talking minimum. Like that's not like my holy goal is 200K. It's like I want to start and go
Yeah,
above
that's your
that.
next goal. Yeah, you know more is possible.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
for you, that's a valuable, good, solid goal to get to.
It's attainable.
Yeah.
It's the next landing on this staircase of
Okay, so you want to make 200 grand a year.
And I want to spend about like 20, 25 hours a week doing it. Probably mostly in the mornings because I enjoy afternoons with my family and stuff. It needs to be remote. Like what we do can sometimes, some people call it virtual wholesaling because I am marketing in other states where I can't really walk the property. So that's a massive, to say the least, a plus, for me.
Okay.
Anyway, so 200.
A plus, or is it a requirement?
It is a requirement. Yes,
Okay.
for this goal, it's a requirement.
When you hit that, you need to be able to be remote no matter what you're doing.
Right.
Whether it be wholesaling, your other business, etc.
I definitely see myself doing this.
Okay.
Because it's virtual. It's great.
Yeah.
And I can get it done. I'm the person who can actually make the calls. So what did I say? 200, 20, 25 hours remote.
I want you to pick between 20 and 25 hours for me. Well, how many hours?
I'm trying to be realistic at first.
Give me a number though.
Ideally, 20
20
is the benchmark.
That's
is
fine.
The goal. From there, I'm making 200K. Oh, I can make 250 by working 5 more hours. Okay, I'll do that.
That number can change when you get to the point.
Right.
Okay, but for now, it's very important that goals are specific.
Got
So
it.
rather than, I want to work 20 to 25 hours, at that point, you might as well just say 25 because you've already given yourself leniency. But if you want to say 20, let's say 20.
Okay, the hesitation there was with the range, try to be realistic.
Sure.
But look, 20 is realistic
So
too.
So I would just say, whatever it's going to be, let's just pick a number. So what is it officially going to be? 20. You have 3 different pieces where you'll know that you've arrived to the next stage. Is you want to be making 200 grand a year. You want to be working 20 hours a week to make that money. I better not pull that down too far, right?
And 200K, like it could be on par, right? Like that's annual revenue. If I'm at 2 months at that rate, hey, maybe I'll start counting that. What do you think? Like, do I wait for that whole year?
You have to decide that.
Right.
So you could say, I would say, like, I do see what you're saying. Most common people are going to say in a year, because if you're running your business in video, but you're also doing real estate, you're also doing these other things, they might not all pay in at the exact same time. They might have different methods on how you generate that income. And for example, when I locked up I just locked up a wholesale deal, I made 125 grand on one deal, right? Okay, well if I get lucky and I get one big deal, and all of a sudden I'm like, I made it, and then I can't. I'm on par, but I can't repeat. Would recommend that it's not on a 1 to 2 month thing. So if you wanted to still make it shorter than a year and say, hey, in any given 6 month period, I average, 100 grand.
Yeah.
Right. My point is, I want you and need you to be. You need you to be very specific with these goals and with the amount of timeline on. So when you arrive, you arrived.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So instead of a year, and we just talked about like the range, let's take a sample of a whole year.
Yep.
And let's make that this year starting now.
Sure. So over a 12-month period.
Yeah, over this 12-month
Over
period.
this 12-month period,
Yeah.
right? And if you don't make it this 12-month, though, any other
goal
12-month
remains.
period, the goal remains, right? Over a 12-month period, you want to make 200 grand a year, all your income sources.
Right.
You want to be you want to be able to produce that out of just 20 hours a week. And the third piece was, and you want to be able to be remote.
Yeah.
So that means all the different actions of your business can't be in person.
But I'm not counting selling stocks. Because if I'm short 200, if I'm at 170,
Yeah.
I would just sell stocks at long-term capital gains, you know,
Okay.
and then, you know, make
Sure.
the difference. But I don't want to.
So how can you describe it to
right.
do that? Don't
From
just say excluding stocks. I would say
active income.
There you go, active income. Because selling stocks or just selling a house, right?
Right.
I could sell property that I bought 8 years ago. I just
There's
told
your
you about
goal.
it. I make 450 grand.
Right.
Right. And it's like, oh my gosh, like no, that's not what we're talking about. Active income.
Yeah. Okay, so that's another parameter.
Exactly. So so your homework today is going to be to dial these in, each of the three, and I want you to dig deep on what does it look like. So for example, let's go deeper on the 200. Right now, where's your active income coming from? You're going to be you're learning to wholesale, so you're going to be making some active income wholesaling.
Mm-hmm.
You also have your video company, right? Podcasting, all that type of stuff, marketing stuff, right? Is there anything else you're doing for active income right now?
No.
Okay. So you make other money doing other things, but it's not active, right? That your stocks, all that other stuff. You now know your goal is tied to active. You have two sources of active income. To reach your goal, it could be, hey, I want a third piece of active income.
Sure.
I wouldn't recommend to add that yet until you're actually sustainable on these first two.
Yes.
And then I would say, how much of each one is going to produce your 200? Is it 100 grand on each side? Is it 150, 50? Like what percentage and how much money? So when you go back home and you dig down on this, I want you to put an exact amount of money per source.
Yeah.
Per income source. What do you want to grow your podcasting marketing company to? How much income is that going to make that's going to help you reach this? And then you need to dig deeper. Well, what products are that coming from? If you said, oh, I'm doing podcasting or I'm doing this marketing, some of the different products you sell might also have to be in line with, hey, my third goal over here is to be remote. So you might say like, hey, I'm going to build this, but like I can't build this too high because it's not remote. I'm going to have to nix it to achieve this. So do you see how I'll dial this down? And if you have 3 products on your marketing, be like, how much money is coming from each of those lines?
Yeah.
Right? If you say, hey, I want 100 grand. Okay, I'm 33. It's probably not going to be that way.
Yeah.
But split it out how you know how it is. Well, how many clients do I need to actually make that 33 grand? Right? Do you see how you can really break this down?
Yeah.
And you go, oh my gosh, how cool is this? I need 9 clients. I have 5 right now of this. All I have to do is go find 4 more clients of this product, and I've already reached that goal.
Yeah.
And you just start piecing this together, and then you'll get to your 100 grand of that lead source. Over here, your second lead source of wholesaling.
Yeah.
You need to know how much money you actually need to make to reach this goal, and then go backwards. What's your average wholesale fee that you're going to make per deal? How many of these deals do I need to do to reach my goal?
And then it goes backwards for my KPIs, like deals to appointments. Of course, that's back. I'm saying that backwards because we're working backwards.
Yes.
Deals to appointments ratio, right? And now with my KPIs, I have a history of tracking KPIs, so I know how many times I have to hit dial in order to get an appointment.
Yes.
And then pretty soon I'll know how many times I had to hit dial to make a deal.
Yes.
That's worth X amount of dollars.
Yep. And you'll
so
know
this
exactly.
dial has a dollar tied to it.
Yes. John, you're getting it. You're getting it.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing, by the way, for the audience and just to echo back to you, is the lead sheet, like the acquisition channel.
Yeah.
The revenue channel, whatever, is built into LOI Blaster. That's a beautiful thing.
Right.
Whereas with agency work, it's very messy. You just help who you can. You have a channel to acquire customers, and hopefully you can see the value you can show them the value of not churning, right?
Right.
Because it's recurring revenue. But yeah, the channel is built in, man. With LOI Blaster, like that is your lead sheet.
They're giving
you
you-
make your own lead sheet.
I will challenge
Fast.
you. I will
Okay.
challenge you slightly on that
Okay.
and saying your other business, you want to ask yourself the deep questions on how do I make that business more like this, more streamlined and more knowing KPIs and all of that. Every business can be, now there's a difference in some businesses, so not everyone will be the same.
Yeah.
But in most businesses, they can be way more dialed in with KPIs and everything for every business. I briefly mentioned before, and I want to say this again on this episode, you should be using your calendar and building in these dedicated time slots of money time, action. So if once you nail this down and you said every dial's a certain amount of money, well, right now you're supposed to be spending an hour a day, 5 days a week, right? Well, if you look at that and you do the math, you're like, that actually won't make me my money.
Then I have to reevaluate.
Then you have to reevaluate. Like, maybe it's an hour and a half every day, actually, once I did the math.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
And with the acquisition channel thing on the agency side, on content marketing, all that, I have enough like leads that come in already. I'm not going to worry about dialing it
Yep.
in. So I'd rather spend that extra time turning up the volume on a system for the wholesaling
Yep. Sure.
that brings in the deal, right?
Yeah,
The deal that I
yeah.
said I want at the beginning of this.
Perfect, yeah. And that can be your major focus
And
right
then
now,
later,
right? And then later you can go back to the other company and you're like, oh, okay, cool. I'm getting leads, that's great. And now I'll put more specific pieces to it, right? But I would say as a whole, put specific numbers on both businesses, both income sources, and really dial it down so you know what's in line with what this goal is, because that is how you're going to arrive. You said you want a deal. John, you need a deal now.
Yeah.
Now, I want to point out something because we've done quite a few episodes. You've learned a lot.
Yeah,
You are not the same. I almost wanted you to have to go watch like episode 1, 2, or 3 again. Shock you.
I haven't watched a whole episode because we live the episodes, but I've seen back. I've watched a little.
Dude, you're different.
Yeah,
You're different. You understand so much more. Like right now, it's like, wow, you're like a LOI Pro, LOI Blaster Pro, right? Batch leads, right? Whatever software, right? And once again, we'll put all those links down below. But you're a pro at all that stuff now, right? Now, like it's all about just the dials and setting number of appointments, right? You're on the tail end, which is great and exciting, and it's time now to get a deal, which is why I wanted you to self-evaluate in this moment so you can decide, okay, where are you at? Where's your goal at? How many deals do you really need to get to? And then also self-evaluate from, okay, everyone else, when they see this, they're like, oh, look at, how many episodes, right? But like we only talk literally during 30 minutes before we start shooting.
Yeah, I might catch you on text once in a week because you have appointments.
Yeah, exactly.
You have
right?
stuff.
I have a calendar to live by.
You have a calendar to live by, and so yeah, we get a touch point once a week.
Yep, exactly. So, but I brought this up to you, and I find this very interesting to most people because you're part of the forums of LOI Blaster and all this, right? So I'm like, if I ask you, like, John, how long does it take for most people to get a deal?
They're going 8 months, a year, 2 years sometimes.
Right? Long time.
Depends on what they're doing and who they're associated with.
Yeah. So sometimes people get them faster, and they can get faster, right?
Yeah.
And I would say now that we've had enough episode, I feel like I'm judging it based on your knowledge and what you're capable of. You need a deal now. It is time for you to get a deal, and even though you've gotten really close. So, but I do want to point out the amount of time, right? So you are spending 1 hour a day, 5 days a week.
Ringing. Yeah.
Right? Making calls, right? There's other little stuff that you'll have to do, right? But that's the money-making time that you're spending.
Yeah.
Right? Not shooting this video, things like that. That's all extra stuff, right? But you're calling 1 hour a day for 5 days a week. So that's 5 hours a week that you spend on this business. Okay? Action time. Times 4, so that's 20 hours a month. And so since we started, right, where we're like, hey, let's record the first episode. And remember, guys, like this isn't full time, right? This is like, go spend this hour of time.
Yeah, if someone jumped in full, yeah.
So,
exactly.
well, that's what I'm getting to. So what has all the time that you've spent up until now, what does that equate to like a full-time person? If you had said, Kyle, I'm quitting my job today, I'm going to get into wholesaling, we can do the math real quick on how many hours you've put into this of actual action taking.
Yeah.
Okay. So at 5 hours a week, that's 20 hours a month. And I think we've shot probably about 6 months.
Yeah, by the time they see
they see this episode, it's going to be about 6 months. So, if that's 20 hours a month, so 20, 40, 60, that's 120 hours. Okay? Well, if your typical work week is 40 hours, which I think personally is lazy.
My goal must be really lazy. Man. I love my lazy
Now,
goal. Like
you can
20
spend
hours,
as long as you're spending your hours doing something that's productive for you,
Right.
that could be personal. That can be other stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
You're in charge. But like most people, they work their 40 hours and they're still not going home and spending it with their family. They're just watching TV, doing whatever, and wasting the rest of the time.
And are they really working those 40 hours? There's studies that say they're working about an hour and a half.
Exactly.
In 8 hours.
It's pretty sad. So, but still, if your average work week is 40 hours, right? So that means that's 40 hours a week. We just said yours is 120.
Yeah, so 3 weeks.
So, right? That'd be 3 weeks. And we already found out in previous episodes, you weren't making calls for an actual hour.
Yeah, for a lot of that.
For a lot
how
of
does that
probably at
count?
least half, if not 75%.
Yeah.
So you're probably more like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.5. And this is an interesting thought. You have now, say you quit your job and worked full time to try to get this business going. You have been in the business now for about 2 to 2.5 weeks.
Of active,
KPI,
like,
doing
like
something that
inducing
actually could
real-
produce you money.
Yeah.
That's not that long. In fact, if you were to go start another job, would you think most jobs are like, hey, we need to put you in training first?
Yeah, they would have you do something.
Yeah, they're going to have you do training, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the times, that's like a 2 week, maybe even 30 days, 60 days.
If you're at a startup, it's about 5 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on the company.
So it can dramatically, right? But a lot of companies are at minimum going to have like a 2 to 2.5 week training.
Yeah.
Where they're like, hey, we know you're not going to be able to produce, especially if you're in commission sales.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, hey, a lot of times there's jobs like, hey, for the first month, we're just going to pay you this paycheck because you're in training.
Yeah.
And then your commission starts, right? You've only spent 2 to 2.5 weeks in training. That's what this whole series so far has. If we condense everything, this is like I just put you into a 2 to 2.5 week training.
Yeah.
How freaking cool is that?
That's a little bit wild.
Right?
Yeah.
While you're still doing all your other stuff.
Yeah.
With that said, it's time. Training is over, John. Right? It's time to get a deal.
Yeah.
Make your dials. The dials are the dollars.
Yes.
You said it correctly. Dial those, get appointments. We're going to get you a deal. It's time.
Yes.
Okay? If you don't get another deal, if you don't get a deal soon, I'd recommend, I think now is the time. There's certain times for people when they need to get a deal. You could take, let's say you don't get a deal still and you keep doing what you're doing. At some point, you're going to get burnt out. At some point, you're going to start retracting. Now's the time, based on what I can tell with your development, that you need a deal now. So I would say if you can't get a deal in the next week or two, doing exactly what we're doing, I would recommend, as you go and self-reflect, put this in your plan. If I don't get a deal in the next 2 weeks, I want to double my time to 2 hours. Right? It would be better for you to really double down and get this deal done than go another 4 weeks, month without getting a deal, because I think psychologically that's going to mess with you. It is time for you to get a deal now. Okay? So John, will you go home and do your homework?
Yes, the homework that we just talked about.
All right. You guys heard it here first. John's going to get a deal. Everyone's going to get a deal.
They want me to get a deal. I want me to get a
deal. Everyone gets a deal.
Everyone gets deals. Throw in the meme.
I love it. It's time to get a deal. If you get paid, and I don't really care how much you get paid. I don't think you care how much you get paid. You just need a deal and feel that and move on to the next thing. So guys, if you love these type of episodes, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's get a deal.